Persona fans, and welcome back to Trinity Soul Tuesdays, the show where I cover an episode of Persona Trinity Soul every 2 weeks and encourage you all to watch along with me. When we last left off, we had exposition out the wazoo. From our good guys, from our bad guys, it was just a big ol' setup episode. You might even call it a set episode. I wouldn't, but you might. On today's episode, it's Garbage Day! The Kanzato brothers are getting ready to start the day, and part of that involves taking the garbage out. Jun is dropping trash cans down while Shin tries to catch them. But he goes too quickly and Shin drops one, and for the first time in the series, the garbage actually contributes to the plot in some way. Shin discovers that Jun had thrown away his school's form for Visitation Day, which, I'm no expert on the Japanese school system, but I've seen a few anime where this is a thing. Basically, your parents or guardians can come to your school and judge you. To the surprise of everybody, Ryo actually tells Jun that he'll be there, and while he never says it, Jun is clearly excited by the idea, even getting a little embarrassed in front of the other party members over it. Meanwhile, Eiko has finally had enough of Ryo's crap, jumps right into his car, and asks all the questions. Who was he meeting last night? What was he getting from them? Who was that guy he killed? How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? She also hides a tracker in the car that Ito got for her under the old adage of it being much easier to get forgiveness than permission. Meanwhile, Komatsubara, or Kujo, or whatever I'm supposed to call this guy, personally I just want to call him Mr. Mustache, is on the phone with whomever has been funding his evil organization this whole time, so that he can continue his persona research, and is basically being told that maybe giving money and drugs to a psychopath wasn't the smartest move on their part, so now they want to try and take things in a new direction. A new direction where they don't do that anymore. Chie tells his boss that Yuji escaped, because for poops and giggles, he told Yuji that he'd be killed because he doesn't have a persona anymore. Mr. Mustache dismisses them and tells them to get ready for tonight. Meanwhile, Yuji is just having a terrible day. He somehow lands in this creepy underground lab thing filled with these pods. And then Komatsubara shows up and is all like, wanna see something cool? And it's so cool that Yuji ends up spilling a bottle of ketchup all over the floor. Also, for some reason, we never see Yuji again after this. I'm not sure why. Back at the police station, Ryo finally finishes his clerical office paperwork. He silently says goodbye to the police station, looking around as he heads out, taking everything in. Holy crap, was that Junpei? It was! And I have to say, this cameo perfectly captured the very essence of Junpei himself. Fun, but ultimately a huge disappointment. And on his way out, Ryo gives Ito and that other guy a salute to thank them for their service. At the school, everyone's just kind of chilling out, like, hey, have you noticed we haven't really been attacked lately? Like, literally not once since Shin gave us that speech about how we need to train and protect ourselves from attacks. Yeah. Huh. Ryo calls Shin out to their family's gravesite and tells him he's not going to be able to make Jun's Visitation Day, despite saying only a few hours ago that he would, which is a really crappy thing to do. I mean, just look how excited Jun is! Shin confesses that he'd stolen the list of A latents from Ryo's computer and didn't turn it over because he trusted his brother, but now he's not so sure anymore. Ryo laments that it's his fault Jun gained his weird powers, and says if the two brothers had never moved back to this town, maybe neither of them would have awakened to their personas. He asks Shin to please take care of Jun, and also to give this to Eiko, because she's really bad at hiding trackers on people. Now that no one knows where he's going, Ryo calls his friend, and the two discuss finally putting together their super team of Persona teens. Shin, Megumi, Takuro, Jun, Kanaro, and I guess maybe Mayuri, I don't know if she's a part of this. Ryo apologizes for not telling him that his brothers were users before, but it's okay because... Oh, he did. So anyway, now that we have a bunch of Persona users, Ryo, you don't have to take those pills anymore, right? Right? Shin finally arrives back at school to visit Jun, only to find that his friends have already been there for Jun, and he seems happy now, so I guess that wraps up that plot point. As night draws, we see the members of Maribito being just generally inconspicuous over what is a pretty awesome Lotus Juice beat, while Eiko crashes her car from trying to follow Rio so hard. On the dark, snowy mountaintop, Rio and Mr. Mustache come face to face for the first time since the last time. Komatsubara talks about organizations that work in the shadows, that have been controlling people's wills and subtly forcing them to abandon their psyches, and that's what has led to a decrease in Persona users over the past 10 years. Which is a hilarious thought when you remember Personas 4 and 5 both take place prior to the series. We definitely do not have a shortage of Persona users right now, but I'll cut them some slack since the series is from 2008. He monologues about his wishes to give humanity back their freedom, and Rio basically shoots him down straight away, saying his reasons are total bullcrap, and he's just doing this for personal reasons to bring her back. Something he'll never be able to do because he's a pathetic loser. Surprisingly, Kujo doesn't take this very well and attacks Rio with his persona, Gozanze, who is really cool looking. Eiko spots the epic rave going off in the distance and heads off in that direction, and while Rio gets wounded pretty badly, he tells Kujo that he'll never get Shin or Jun's powers for his plan. And using this distraction, Kane is able to, and I'm not making this up, stab Gozanze with his gun, and then proceed to shoot him at least 8 times. That is amazing. We also see Kujo back in his lab getting injured from it, so I guess we've just been seeing magic clones or something. While a bleeding Rio lies in the snow, Kane is feeling just a little bit trigger happy. Eiko sees Rio and rushes to help him despite warnings to stay away, and then...
Jun? どうしたんだよ?
Yes, after being shot by Kane, Eiko falls onto the snow beside Rio. On the plus side, they can now be blood buddies for life. On the downside, Eiko's life is now over, and Rio does not take it very well. And that is where this episode ends. Like I said in the last episode, this is the end for part 1 of the series. This was a slower episode, a more somber episode, but one that had me pretty invested. From what started as a simple morning quickly became a nighttime tragedy. You really do spend the entire episode with the sense of dread that something bad is going to happen. And even though I already knew how it all ended, I was still on the edge of my seat holding my breath during those final moments. Many of these slower episodes of the series so far have been the ones I haven't really liked, but this one worked. It was just a good episode, and a good ending to the first half of the series. Those of you that are watching along at home, what did you think of this episode? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you all again in 2 weeks. But for now, so long. On the next episode of Trinity Soul Tuesdays. Anyone else think it's kinda super crazy and sensitive to show us footage of cherry snow cones, like right after we watched Eiko bleed out in the snow like that? No? Just me? Yeah, okay.